I just had the feeling that ultimately I would kill somebody.
This time on Unexplained Mysteries, the unreal world. Visitors from other planets, lost civilizations, mythical beasts.
What I actually saw that night, I couldn't really understand what it was.
It wasn't myth, wasn't legend, it was real, it was true.
What is left? The paranormal. And that's where we come in.
A hideous monster hunting in the hills of Puerto Rico.
To tell you the truth, I don't know what that creature is.
I believe that it is something that doesn't belong to this world.
We'll reveal top secret government documents that prove the existence of UFOs.
If this is genuine, why it's dynamite like this smoking gun.
If these documents are genuine, they prove the case. You don't need anything more.
And open up the files on one of the most dramatic alien encounters in history.
Somebody died, aliens or otherwise, and the government has not come clean on it.
What might the government be trying to hide?
A panel of experts convened by the CIA concluded that UFOs could be a threat.
People can handle this, and it's time to tell them the truth.
We'll visit England to meet a real-life werewolf.
He had these mad, staring eyes, and this maniacal expression.
He snarled and he growled. It was an impression of his lips turning up.
Uncover the secrets hidden within the Sphinx.
A whole chapter is missing from the human story.
I could see the key to this total reversal of history.
And explore one of the most terrifying paranormal mysteries known to man. Spontaneous human combustion.
The smoke just filled the car.
This is baffling. This is bizarre. This is as strange as it gets in the natural world.
I have to believe it. I have to believe it. I was there. I saw it.
And we'll give you the final analysis in our UNX report on Unexplained Mysteries. The Unreal World.
There is no more powerful emblem of the mystery of the past than the great Sphinx of Egypt.
Standing between the Great Pyramids of Giza is the Sphinx, a weathered statue of a mythological creature that was said to kill anyone who could not answer its riddle. Today, scientists are trying to decipher another riddle of the Sphinx. Who built this great monument and why? For years, researchers logically assumed that it was built at the same time as the pyramids, but there is growing support that they may date back farther. One of the first people to voice this theory was Edgar Cayce, the famed sleeping psychic. In the 1930s, while in a trance, Cayce made a startling prediction.
It was like he was in the deep unconscious mind, and he was accessing the universal consciousness that contained all wisdom. And when they asked him specifically about ancient Egypt, he said that this place was built in the year 10,500 BC.
The accepted theory about the Sphinx and the pyramids date them at 2500 BC. No one in the scientific community took the prediction seriously until now.
I could see that in the geology lay the key to this total reversal of history.
John Anthony West believes that the erosion patterns on the Sphinx suggest that Cayce may have been right.
In a nutshell, the theory is that the Sphinx has been weathered by water, and specifically by rain falling down over the plateau over many thousands of years. You look at the Sphinx and you see that it's this rounded profile with deep fissures going down the rock face. This can only be produced by rainfall falling over the plateau.
But there hasn't been steady rainfall in Egypt since 10,000 BC, more than 7,000 years before the Sphinx was supposed to have been built. Robert Bauval and Graham Hancock have also embraced Cayce's prediction. They point to the constellations in the sky as proof.
10,500 BC, this is when the Sphinx is gazing directly at his own image, the constellation of Leo. And if we are to turn 90 degrees and face due south, we would see the three stars of Orion's belt in a pattern that mimics exactly the pattern of the pyramid on the ground. So we have here a perfect conjunction taking place only and only in 10,500 BC.
One problem facing each of these researchers is that our primitive ancestors lacked the necessary skills to build these monuments.
The evidence is beginning to suggest to us that a whole chapter is missing from the human story, that all the legends of a great lost civilization that haunt the myth memories of mankind may be true.
But what happened to this advanced civilization?
There was an enormous, horrendous cataclysm at the end of the last ice age, and this brings us to that date of 10,500 BC that we focus on in the monuments. Something happened to the world at the end of the last ice age of sufficient magnitude to have wiped out a whole civilization, and what we're arguing is that the traces of that lost civilization may be what confronts us at Giza.
Although their theories are still disputed, one of Case's predictions has proven to be right.
Edgar Cayce said that the lost records of Atlantis would be found in a chamber between the paws of the Sphinx. Our seismographs detected a chamber between the paws of the Sphinx. What's in that chamber, absolutely we don't know. But certainly our findings seem to corroborate certain of his key prophecies.
In point of fact, archaeologists may have discovered a lost city that could be part of Atlantis in the Aegean Sea.
I think the time has come for us to consider seriously the possibility that our much vaunted, advanced 20th century civilization is indeed a civilization of children with amnesia who have forgotten their own parents, because what would be recalled is almost too horrific to imagine.
Conventional science doesn't support his unorthodox claims, but there is a growing movement within the archaeological community that believes Atlantis did exist. They point to the sudden rise of Egypt as proof.
John Anthony West, a well-known Egyptologist, has said that Egyptian culture is like a legacy from an earlier culture. Call it Atlantis or whatever we want, but the Egyptian culture came from somewhere else.
We like to put it within inverted quotes and call it the A word, because as soon as you mention this word, all kinds of scientists and scholars go absolutely ballistic.
Atlantis, a world that worshipped strange gods of science, a science gone berserk.
Dr. Charles Pellegrino believes Atlantis exists, but only as a myth that has passed down through the ages.
There's a lot of modern folklore about Atlantis that has arisen in the last 200 years or so, but if you want to look for the origins of the Atlantis legend, you have to go back to about 350 BC.
Plato writes that Atlantis was home to the most advanced civilization on Earth, but at the height of its glory, it was swallowed up by the sea.
Atlantis is a symbol. It's the classic Greek tragedy of something beautiful and something that had beauty and grace that vanished tragically in a single night.
But what if the stories are true? Recently, off the coast of Greece, a tiny string of islands have been discovered under the Aegean Sea. A single island remains. It is Thera, and on it is the remains of an ancient civilization that was destroyed by a volcanic eruption.
It literally is a lost Atlantis. They were very advanced technologically. We're finding homes are just honeycombed with plumbing, hints of central heating, beautiful paintings that are found in every home. Very different from the artwork that you find anywhere else in the world except in the tomb of King Tut.
The discovery of Thera is remarkable, but Atlantis researchers maintain that the lost continent is still buried, waiting to be found by a civilization far more advanced than ours.
We do have a continent on our planet which is truly lost. There, I suspect, we may find the cities, the great engineering works of an entire and forgotten human civilization.
Next up, the strange and mysterious unreal world. A modern-day werewolf invades England.
He had these mad, staring eyes and this maniacal expression.
I couldn't really understand what it was.
I just had the feeling that ultimately I would kill somebody.
A deadly beast invades a small village in Puerto Rico.
We are
More than 100 animals were killed by this mysterious creature, and we were still looking for the answer.
Something that killed, very strange.
Later, we'll explore the deadly phenomenon of spontaneous human combustion.
All I saw was just a cloud of smoke around me.
His skin appeared to be erupting in smoke.
This is baffling. This is bizarre. This is eerie. This is as strange as it gets in the natural world.
And we'll give you our ultimate update with our Unex report. Stay tuned for more on Unexplained Mysteries. Unexplained Mysteries, the unreal world. They say that all legends contain a kernel of truth. So when the sun sets and the moon is full, what is the truth about werewolves?
The story began when I was 9 years old. It was a very warm summer's evening. Suddenly the air went very cold. There was a terrible stench in the air, and I just flew into the most horrendous rage that my mother and father just couldn't make out why their little 9-year-old boy suddenly started to act virtually like an animal in the garden.
This violent outburst was the first sign that something was wrong with Bill Ramsey. He didn't know what it was. All he knew was that he had to hide it.
I was feeling all sorts of things. I would be the laughing stock of the neighborhood.
Whatever was inside Ramsey was released again at South End Hospital. He attacked a nurse and tore up the emergency room. Nothing could stop him.
I just had the feeling that ultimately I would kill somebody.
Then, one night outside a police station, Ramsey tried to kill one of the officers.
I envisaged being in prison for the rest of my life or in a secure mental hospital the rest of my life for something I knew I would never be responsible for.
Suddenly, his secret was out, but no one understood why he was having these violent episodes.
What was causing it? I was literally, felt like just committing suicide.
An answer would come from 3,000 miles away, from an unassuming pair of paranormal investigators, Lorraine and Ed Warren. To better understand what they were dealing with, they interviewed Inspector Tony Belford, who had witnessed one of the attacks.
What I actually saw that night, I couldn't really understand what it was. All I knew that it was something that I'd never witnessed before. It was not natural behaviour.
According to police records, Ramsey picked up a prostitute from a nearby carnival and inexplicably took her to the police station.
So I took the prostitute inside, leaving Sergeant Terry Fisher out in the yard with Ramsey.
He had these mad, staring eyes and this maniacal expression. That's all I can describe it as. The worst thing was what he was saying, and it was said in a very malevolent way. And I'll quote from the report I made shortly afterwards. He was saying, "The devil is in me. When the devil is in me, I am strong. I'm going to kill you."
And when I came out into the yard, I saw Terry Fisher on the floor, just over in this location, with Bill Ramsey sitting on top of him with his hands around his throat.
A little voice back here said, "Terence, you come unstuck this time."
And when you see the size of this ex-police officer, you'll say to yourself, what scared him so much? Why this one experience? Because he's seen something that very few people ever see. He's seen the transfiguration of a man into a wolf.
It took 5 officers to get Ramsey into custody, but not even this cell seemed to be able to contain him.
His head, right arm up to his shoulder, was outside this hole. It's difficult to actually visualise a head and an arm out there, but I can assure you, I saw it, 5 or 6 firemen saw it, a doctor saw it, and I would suggest up to 7 or 8 policemen saw it, none of which could believe what we'd actually seen.
Ramsey had to be sedated and covered in liquid soap to get him back into the cell. Inspector Belford was then left with the task of explaining the episode to his superiors.
I submit this report for your information, and to have recorded the fact that it is in my opinion that this man will, if not controlled, end up causing fatal or serious injury to some person.
Rather than press criminal charges, the court sent Ramsey to a psychiatric institution for observation.
Everybody thought I had a mental problem. It just didn't seem right. But I had no other answer. I couldn't say, well, it's not a mental problem. So, well, you do this normally then, do you? Does everybody, is this normal behaviour? Of course it was a mental problem. Where else could they send me? There was nowhere else.
Ramsey spent 28 days in the hospital undergoing tests, but when no mental illness could be found, he was released.
What is left? The paranormal, the unknown. And that's where we come in.
Warren's told me that it wasn't a mental illness. I had no mental illness. I was possessed, demonically possessed with a wolf spirit. Oh, God. I've heard it all. And he kind of closed the evening with, would you come to the USA and be exercised? Exercise? Come on. Some absolute rubbish they were giving me here. But maybe.
Ramsey flew to Connecticut. There he met Bishop Richard McKenna.
He needed to be exercised, no question about that. I would think that being possessed by the devil is the worst evil that could befall anyone.
I didn't know what to expect. And when you're entering a realm of the unknown, you're obviously very, very scared.
The ceremony began in the bishop's church. Ramsey was strapped down in a chair. 6 bodyguards with stun guns were on hand in case something went wrong.
As I proceeded with the prayers, he didn't seem to be himself. It was just some other person were taking over him. He himself seemed to almost go into a kind of a daze.
I remember him coming to me, at me with that stole, placing it on my head, and it's as if he'd hit me with a hammer almost, because I just did not know anything after that.
It started from behind him, and the muscles in the back of the neck all began to enlarge, and the ears began to point, and he howled.
Speak, devil. Be gone in the name of God. Leave him alone. Go back to hell where you came from. Be gone.
The hands clawed in such a manner that no human hand could claw like that.
He had begun to make the signs of the cross on his forehead and on his breast, and then he would violently react and slap his hand at me, and he snarled like an animal.
The lips rolled up, the teeth protruded, and he tried to bite.
How many of you are there? Where did you come from? What keeps you here? Be gone, Satan. Leave him alone. When the devil did leave him, he came to himself.
As I came out the exorcism, you feel that you're a new person.
The man was freed. The man was freed.
Bill Ramsey is back home now. The fits of rage are gone.
I felt I wanted to kiss him, kiss Bishop McKenna, because what he'd done. I believe that I was ultimately possessed by the devil, yeah.
Next on Unexplained Mysteries, sensitive government documents mysteriously appear that may prove the existence of UFOs.
If these documents are genuine, they prove the case. You don't need anything more.
If this is genuine, why, it's dynamite, like the smoking gun.
Is the government engaged in a massive cover-up of the leak?
Now, if MJ-12 is real, remember, it's the absolute proof. It's the bodies and hardware that cannot be duplicated here on Earth.
Forget the motivations of the aliens for a moment. What's the motivations of those that control the information?
And later, the man who inexplicably bursts into flames.
All I saw was just a cloud of smoke around me.
This is bizarre. This is eerie. This is as strange as it gets in the natural world.
And you'll get the climactic account with our UNX report coming up on Unexplained Mysteries. Unexplained Mysteries, the unreal world. Conspiracy theories about the government and UFOs have been almost impossible to prove. Until now, a roll of film arrives in the mail. There is no name and no return address. When developed, it reveals a conspiracy that reaches all the way up to the President of the United States. That's what happened to Jamie Shandera.
It was very interesting to me because it was analogous to Watergate in the sense that there was a deep throat who wanted to share information. And ultimately that process led to the arrival of the MJ-12 documents.
The documents were part of a 1952 briefing to President Eisenhower. They told of an alien spaceship crashing in Roswell, New Mexico, and the 12 men whose job it was to keep it a secret. Their code name was Majestic, or MJ-12. When Shandera received these explosive documents, he didn't believe they were real.
I'm a skeptic. You have to be a skeptic. You can't simply buy out. This isn't a belief system. It has nothing to do with a belief system. It isn't a religion. That's not what we're dealing with. If it exists, then there's a way to prove it. And that's what the game is all about.
When asked for his opinion, noted physicist Bruce Maccabee was skeptical.
You can have sightings up the wazoo. You can always get an expert to explain it, even if he has to hoke up an explanation. Now, if MJ-12 is real, remember, it's the absolute proof. It's the bodies and hardware that cannot be duplicated here on Earth, which conclusively proves this stuff is real.
If one accepts for even a moment the premise that we've been visited, that an alien was here, that bodies have been found, there would have to be a control group established to examine, understand, and determine what our vulnerability is. With that kind of control comes the danger always. Well, who watches the watchers? Forget the motivations of the aliens for a moment. What's the motivations of those that control the information?
Among the chosen 12 were Secretary of Defense James Forstall, high-ranking Army, Navy, and Air Force officers, and the first 4 directors of the Central Intelligence Agency. And then there was Dr. Donald Menzel, a Harvard astronomer who had written 3 books claiming that UFOs didn't exist.
Menzel was in a perfect position to act as the astronomer telling the world this is all nonsense. Nothing to do with anything. This isn't real. We've got explanations for everything.
And I have found that his explanations are just plain wrong when you analyze them carefully.
It might seem, well, why would he be lying? Why would he do this? And others who defend him say, oh, he wouldn't do this and he wouldn't do that. Well, of course he would, because that was what was important for their country.
More documents were leaked, this time to UFO expert Don Berliner. He received a controversial 1954 military field manual.
This was a set of instructions, really, to retrieval teams who would be at the scene soon after an event took place in which a saucer had crashed and in which there were bodies and wreckage. How to wrap them, what kind of boxes to use, where to send the pieces, what the cover stories were. And one of the things that comes through loud and clear is they wouldn't have put such a manual together unless this had happened more than once. Which makes you wonder, so how many of the crashes were there? How many bodies were retrieved?
Retired McDonnell Douglas scientist Dr. Robert Wood was asked to authenticate the manual.
My initial reaction when I first saw them was, if this is genuine, why, it's dynamite, like the smoking gun.
To his trained eye, the manual appeared to be authentic. Everything seemed to match government manuals of the era, except for one thing.
If you look at the front of this document, at the bottom, there's a logo that says War Department. And the War Department was actually eliminated at the end of World War II. So you'd expect they would have stopped using the logo. But in fact, the Army, in its field manuals, continued to use the War Department logo up until as late as 1960. And we have exact copies of such manuals.
If these documents are genuine, they prove the case. You don't need anything more.
If real, these documents suggest that we are being visited by aliens. But why?
I think one of the reasons they're coming here is to make sure we don't go out. To take our brand of friendship, namely hostility, other places. This is truly a primitive society whose major activity is tribal warfare. So I don't think we can expect aliens to deal with us as equals. We haven't earned our place at the Galactic Federation Round Table.
It's important no matter what. It's an important issue of government accountability, and it may be an important issue of the future of the human race.
See it going? Did you see it?
Tim Edwards runs Patio Pancake Place in Salida, Colorado. He's a respected member of the community, not someone you'd expect to see lights in the sky. But he did, along with his 7-year-old daughter, Brandy.
I looked up and I said to Dad, Dad, there's something there.
And I didn't pay any attention to her. Again, Daddy, there's something in the sky.
He looked up in the sky and he said, this is the sun. And then he looked up again and he saw it.
And that's when I first spotted it, and I looked at it and I said, what in the heck is that?
His camera rolled for over an hour. Tim didn't want to miss a moment of this incredible event. According to UFO researchers, the Saulides sighting is one of the most significant UFO encounters on record.
The original witness was a 6-year-old little girl. You just don't get 6-year-old little girls to tell stories and come up with things like this. The fact that it's a daylight sighting is outstanding. It ranks right up there with, you know, some of the best quality video that we have and some of the best sightings. I would say it ranks certainly up in the top 10.
Jim Dilatoso is president of Village Laboratories, an image processing facility that has done work for the Jet Propulsion Laboratory for NASA's Voyager mission. He subjects the Edwards tape to a series of tests. His findings are remarkable.
We believe that the object is about a half a mile long, about 2,000 to 3,000 feet long, and about 75,000 feet in the air. What does that compare to? 75,000 feet, 15 miles. 15 miles in the air. Half a mile long, 2 Sears towers, stacked end to end. Huge object.
Next on Unexplained Mysteries, we'll delve deeper into the unreal world. The hunt for the creature known as the Chupacabra.
I pulled out my gun and I shot him. He just rolled over and jumped over the fence and disappeared. Some people say that it is something satanic. Other people have different views, and I will never stop until this animal, creature, is caught.
The phenomenon known as the Devil's Fire.
This is as strange as it gets in the natural world.
I have to believe it. I was there. I saw it.
And we'll unlock the mystery in our UNX report, coming up on Unexplained Mysteries. Unexplained Mysteries, the unreal world.
To tell you the truth, I don't know what the creature is.
Something that killed, very strange.
I believe that it is something that doesn't belong to this world.
Puerto Rico could be described as a lush tropical paradise, but in Canovanas, paradise is lost. Something is lurking in the hills, hunting the most helpless inhabitants of this small farming community.
I saw this creature on top of my dog. I pulled out my gun and I shot him. I thought that he was dead when the bullet hit him, and he just rolled over and became like a ball. And then he jumped over the fence and disappeared.
They call it Chupacabra, literally translated, the goat sucker. This creature has killed hundreds of animals across the island. Their bodies drained of blood, their organs mysteriously removed. The only clue, strange circular openings in their necks.
The police department couldn't find the answer to this mysterious criminal, the animal. So they brought the complaint to my attention at City Hall, and I started worrying about it because the people were worrying about it.
Mayor Jose Rivera gathered up volunteers to hunt for the beast. His efforts have turned him into a folk hero with the inhabitants of this small community. But the Chupacabra still eludes him.
More than 100 animals were killed by this mysterious creature, and we were still looking for the answer.
Those who say they've seen the creature describe it as 4 to 5 feet tall, with huge red eyes and gray skin that is part fur and part feather. It has short arms with claws, legs like a kangaroo, and a row of sharp spikes down the middle of its back. Some say it also has wings.
Yo me disponía a encender este vehículo.
I was getting ready to start a car similar to this one, and I noticed a very heavy noise in the motor. And then I saw the creature jump from the engine, quickly jump over the fence.
The Puerto Rican government dismisses these claims. They believe the killings are being done by a pack of wild dogs or rhesus monkeys, or perhaps a bizarre practical joke. But veterinarian Carlos Soto doesn't think this is a joke. Studying the victims of the beast, he's come up with more questions than answers.
in some of the autopsy that I have seen trauma in the muscle mass in which we cannot trace any trauma from the skin, okay? So how can a human do that? Or if it's a predator, you know that we're gonna see a lot of tissue destruction, and I didn't see anything like that.
If it's not a human or an animal, what is responsible for these killings? Authorities receive a call. The chupacabra has struck again. A sheep was found murdered by its owner. A small, perfectly circular puncture wound on its neck.
Should this have been a dog or a baboon or some type of animal like that, usually have pairs, okay, of bites, of wounds on both sides of the head, and there's only one hole that goes from one side to the other. We're seeing here what seems to be some type of a track of something. We don't know what it may be, but maybe it has something to do with the killing of the sheep that we just saw. And it has apparently 3 toes, separate toes. And there's no animal so far that we know up here in Puerto Rico.
When the attack started, the chupacabra hunted small animals, rabbits, chickens, goats, and sheep. Recently, attacks on horses and cattle have been reported. Will this trail of blood lead to the citizens of Canovanas? Right now, no one feels safe. And until the beast is captured, no one will.
Some people say that it is something satanic. Other people have different views. Some people think it's just a monkey. Since I'm the mayor of the city, I have the heaviest burden to search and get an answer for my people. And I will never stop until this animal, creature, is caught.
Coming up, one of the most unreal mysteries of the 20th century and one of the most deadly, spontaneous human combustion.
Everything points to these fires beginning within the body and burning outward.
The man who survived hell's fire.
All I saw was just a cloud of smoke around me.
The wife who witnessed the terrifying inferno.
I have to believe it. I have to believe it. I was there. I saw it.
And later, we'll sift through all the evidence here on Unexplained Mysteries. Unexplained Mysteries, the unreal world.
This is baffling. This is bizarre. This is eerie. This is as strange as it gets in the natural world.
There are few natural forces on Earth more terrifying than fire, but nothing compares with the horror of the phenomenon of spontaneous human combustion.
Everything points to these fires beginning within the body and burning outward under conditions that belie common sense and what is commonly known about fire behavior and fire patterns.
As a fire investigator, I instruct our guys to go in there with an open mind. And when you've eliminated everything and you still don't have the answers, that makes it very difficult.
It has been called the devil's fire. It's extremely rare, and no one understands how or why it happens.
Fire professionals around the world have no way to explain what happened to these hapless individuals other than that they died by internal fire.
Larry Arnold has spent years researching spontaneous human combustion. He has uncovered a few puzzling cases that defy rational explanation.
Dr. John Bentley was a retired physician living alone in northern Pennsylvania, apparently in good health but invalidic. The morning of December 5, his body was found literally to have self-cremated in his bathroom.
After examining the evidence left behind, Arnold knew that this was no ordinary fire.
This is a cremation that should have required 3,000-degree temperatures for 12 hours to be present in Dr. Bentley's bathroom. The aluminum walker that Dr. Bentley used to help him move about his small apartment was intact. Aluminum will melt at 1,200 degrees. Common sense says that fire and heat rises in an inferno. Here, just the opposite occurred. The force of the combustion was inward and downward through the floor. Mrs. Conway asked her granddaughter to fetch her a pack of cigarettes. When the granddaughter returned from her errand, she discovered that her grandmother's room was filled with dark smoke.
When the fire department arrived, all that was left of Mrs. Conway were 2 legs propped up against the front of her chair. The rest of her body had been burned to a cinder.
One remarkable thing of many about the Conway case is the time factor. Within no more than 6 minutes, she burned so completely and quickly that it could be more characterized as not simply spontaneous human combustion, but spontaneous human explosion.
Investigators ruled out her cigarettes as a cause of the inferno. The fire was listed as unexplained. Peter Jones may be the luckiest man alive. He is the only known person to have survived a spontaneous human combustion experience.
I was getting ready to go to work in the morning and was dressed and sitting on the edge of the bed. Barbara was still laying in bed. I bent down to put on my boots, and all of a sudden she yelled, "There's something burning."
His skin appeared to be erupting in smoke. To me, it appeared to be coming up from his legs.
There was no sensation at all, no pain or heat or anything. It was just a billowing cloud of smoke.
My first response was patting to try and get whatever was burning to go out.
When I started moving around, then the smoke started disappearing, and then, by the time I found there was nothing there, the smoke was just about gone, then it just vanished.
I don't know if it just stopped or if something we did put it out. I don't know.
We decided not to tell anybody. People just wouldn't believe you, I don't think.
I have to believe it. I have to believe it. I was there. I saw it.
Later that same day, this extremely rare phenomenon struck again.
Peter Jones went about his normal business that day, and during the afternoon was parked at a railroad grade crossing waiting for the train to go by.
And all of a sudden it just started pouring out of my arms. And then I kind of like, whoa. And I tried to, brush it off. As my hand passed over my arm, the smoke just kept coming out and just filled the car full of smoke. And then it stopped and the smoke was just disappeared out the window. I have no idea why I survived.
It just wasn't his time to die.
Hopefully that'll be the last of it. I definitely don't want it to happen again. I would not want to end up a pile of ashes on the floor.
Next, the Unex Report. We'll examine the evidence. What is the truth about UFOs? Can a man turn into a wolf at night? What mysteries does the Sphinx hide? Do humans suddenly burst into flames? We'll bring it all together next with our Unex Report when Unexplained Mysteries returns. And now for the Unex Report. There are unexplained mysteries in every corner of the Earth, from ghosts and psychics to aliens and werewolves. Do these documents prove the existence of UFOs?
If this is genuine, why it's dynamite, like the smoking gun.
If these documents are genuine, they prove the case. You don't need anything more.
If it exists, then there's a way to prove it. And that's what the game is all about.
Is there a massive conspiracy going on?
Those of us who really dug into it know that Blue Book was a cover.
When the people know what's going on, then that's when you have trouble.
What other secrets is the government hiding about alien visitors?
A panel of experts convened by the CIA concluded that UFOs could be a threat.
Incontrovertible proof would undercut many of the institutions on which our civilization is built.
People will deal with this. People can handle this. And it's time to tell them the truth.
Does this videotape prove the existence of aliens from another world?
He looked up in the sky and he said, "This is the sun," and then he looked up again and he saw it.
I looked at it and I says, "What in the heck is that?"
The data tends to support what the witnesses said.
Was this ordinary man possessed by the spirit of a werewolf?
I just had the feeling that ultimately I would kill somebody.
He was saying, "The devil is in me. When the devil is in me, I am strong. I'm going to kill you."
What I actually saw that night, I couldn't really understand what it was.
He's seen something that very few people ever see. He's seen the transfiguration of a man into a wolf.
Is a supernatural creature known as the Chupacabra terrorizing the people of Puerto Rico?
More than 100 animals were killed by this mysterious creature.
And it has apparently 3 toes, separate toes. And there's no animal so far that we know up here in Puerto Rico.
If it's a predator, you know that we're gonna see a lot of tissue destruction, and I didn't see anything like that.
Has the mythological city of Atlantis finally been found?
It literally is a lost Atlantis.
To say that Thera is Atlantis is too easy an answer.
Is the key to this 10,000-year-old mystery buried beneath the Sphinx?
10,500 BC, this is when the Sphinx is gazing directly at his own image.
The evidence is beginning to suggest to us that a whole chapter is missing from the human story. There's a great myth memory that haunts mankind of a lost civilization.
Will the mystery of spontaneous human combustion ever be solved?
I have no idea why I survived.
This is bizarre. This is eerie. This is as strange as it gets in the natural world.
I have to believe it. I have to believe it. I was there. I saw it.
We've seen some of the most baffling mysteries, heard from the eyewitnesses, and studied the evidence. But in the end, whether it's werewolves in London or UFOs in Roswell, no one has been able to determine the reality of this unreal world. So for now, these events will remain unexplained mysteries.
On the next Crime Stories, a child murdered.
I don't know that you're ever ready to see a little girl being pulled out of water.
A local man confesses, but the evidence doesn't add up.
Why would you admit to a murder you didn't commit?
Crime Stories, tomorrow at 8, only on Bio. True story.